Sports on Tap is brought to you by the Joe Wright Group with Dobie Real Estate, Jason Stiltner at Flagstar Bank, Baldman Entertainment, Land & Sea Motorsports.
Buckle the fuck up.
It's time to play the game.
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Time to play the game.
You can't let that shit happen.
You play to win the game.
If we take a fucking tight end, I quit.
Cannot win with him. Can't do it. I want winning.
Time to play the game.
Welcome to Sports on Tap Game Day. I'm Chris Scott alongside Joe Waddell. Sorry for the interruptions. We were having some audio issues.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have them fixed now, so we can obviously continue with the show and get you guys set for Week 11 with all the betting and fantasy advice you guys may need.
Yeah. I am now extremely stressed out for a Sunday morning.
Right.
Yeah. So here we go. I hope you can hear us. We were having audio issues on our end, and it wasn't coming across. So, we're being told you can hear us.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And we're ready to get in some games for game day. So,
We are.
yeah.
We are. It's a big slate this week. I think there's only 2 bye weeks.
There's only 2 bye weeks going on right now.
Yeah.
And I think there's some really good matchups today for betting and for fantasy.
Yeah.
I think
we
there's
should mention we are minus Stan Yagnum today.
Yes.
I believe he's on assignment with Higgins somewhere doing some private eye stuff. Maybe.
then Yagnum PI.
Exactly. He's probably with Higgins somewhere doing something or TC maybe. I don't know.
I love that. When he's on the show, we do have to get some Magnum PI music.
I got the Funko Pop right in front of
Yes.
me. We do gotta get I have the music on my phone. I'll send it to you.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Let's do it. Steve's checking in. He said, "Sorry, bro. Hope it wasn't from the other day." He said, "You guys are crystal on my side." So
Sweet. Good to hear.
Yeah. I don't know what it was. I think it was an update on the computer. Every time Windows updates this computer, it switches all the audio settings for some reason. I don't understand it. I hate Windows. I hate computers. Fuck it all.
Yeah.
But anyway. We're here and we're ready to get going on games for Sunday.
All right. So let's start the slate off. I guess this is not really a sexy matchup, but we'll go with Houston taking on Tennessee. Tennessee is laying 10, and the over/under is at 44.5.
Yeah, and I gotta try to find it on my other slate over here. But yeah, so Houston, Tennessee's minus 10, and it looks like 69% of the money is on Tennessee giving up that 10. It looks like 67% of the money is on the over, 44.5. 93% of the money is on Tennessee money line, which absolutely makes sense. As far as this game, I look at this and I see Tennessee has looked very, very good lately, even without Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
10 points just scares me in this matchup.
You know,
And I know Houston's not good. They're 1-8,
Houston's not good.
and they're kind of hot garbage. I get it, but giving up 10 points in this game is a little rough for me. I would have trouble putting anything on this particular game here myself.
if I were a degenerate and bet this game, I would absolutely take Tennessee laying 10, 100%.
If gun to my head, I had to pick a team. I had to pick one on the spread. I would take Tennessee as well.
Yeah.
I just don't necessarily love
I don't
either
love it.
side of this.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Yeah,
But-
this is not one for me that I'm necessarily gonna put anything on.
Houston's just one of those teams. Like I feel like however you bet them, they're gonna fuck you. You know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If you bet Tennessee laying 10, you know, the Texans are gonna score like it's gonna be 9, or some bullshit like that,
Right.
or keep it like within 9, which is. That's what they do. It's kind of like betting the Lions every fucking week. That's what they do. If you bet them to like lose by a certain amount,
They'll fuck you.
Like that 1 point, they'll fuck you by
Yep.
like that 1 point,
Even the half point.
even the half point. Yeah, 100%.
So looking at the fantasy side of this one, the extra week off here should help Tyrod Taylor and that passing game. Brandon Cooks he sports a monstrous target share in this offense at 30%. He ranks second among all wide receivers.
That's what she said.
It's a little delayed, but yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
A little delayed, but
I was trying
yeah.
to pull up Schefter's Twitter.
Gotcha. Well, that'll help later on. So
Yes.
that's more important.
Yeah.
Looking at the other side of the ball here, I don't necessarily love this game. I think they're going to end up trying to run the ball with Deontay Foreman and Adrian Peterson. McNichols has already been ruled out, so if you have him in your lineups, which you shouldn't, if you do, take him out. I wouldn't even have Peterson in there. I think Deontay Foreman's a risky option, but he's a fringe dart throw, maybe a fringe deep dart throw with Adrian Peterson. Kind of the three guys I really like in this game are Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown, and Brandon Cooks. Those three guys in particular stand out to me.
No, I'm with you on that one.
And then another one that's maybe a risky play, but he had 5 catches for 100 yards last week, and I believe he had 7 targets, is Marcus Johnson, who is kind of moved up that depth chart on Tennessee. And he had a decent target share last week. Again, 5 catches, 100 yards. And he's taking the place of Julio Jones, who is out.
That dude's washed.
And he just can't stay healthy, man.
Dude's washed.
Yeah, he can't stay healthy, and he really didn't look great when he was on the field either.
No, he didn't.
And then it looks like I said, it looks like Marcus Johnson has kind of moved into that number 2 role there a little bit. It's risky because it's 1 week, but that's one that maybe you want to throw in there, maybe put it into DFS.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I like it.
All right.
Next up, Baltimore, Chicago. Baltimore is laying 5, and the over/under is set at 43.5.
All right. So Baltimore, yeah, my none of these things line up for me, so I'm trying to switch them back and forth. All right. So it looks like 69% of the money's on Baltimore minus that 4.5. Over under is at 43.5. You said, and it looks like 71% of the money is on the under in this game.
I would actually go with the under on this one.
Which, to be honest with you, I like the under in this game myself. I agree with that. And then money line looks like 85% of the money is on Baltimore money line. Looking at this game, I would actually take Chicago in this game, getting the 4.5. I think they do enough to stay in this game at home. It's going to be chilly. It's
and
not,
I believe
not going to be warm.
I believe Hollywood Brown's not playing.
Yeah, Marquise Brown is out. Now, fantasy wise, if you have Bateman, maybe you slot him in your lineup if you haven't already.
Right.
He could see some extra targets this week and could see some extra points because of that. Looking at the game script, I like Chicago getting that 4.5 in this game at home, man. I don't see Baltimore really being able to blow them out.
It's weird watching that team play. They should be so much better than they are. They like so many games they let come down to like they have to come back like late in games. Like it seems like every week
teams get up on them.
Yeah.
Listen, and you can throw on Baltimore. Baltimore's not the defense they used to be. You can throw on Baltimore.
100%.
And I actually kind of like that. That leads me into the fantasy side of this. I actually like Justin Fields in this game. If you need a quarterback play, for example, if you have Kyler Murray like I do in one of my leagues, and it's looking like he's going to sit out again.
Yeah,
the Justin Fields matchup here is not bad.
No,
they can be had with the pass.
I think
Justin Fields adds that rushing element too. So
yeah, that's true.
You have the double threat there. Justin Fields, I believe, has scored over 20 fantasy points in 2 straight games now.
Maybe if you got like a 2 QB league or something like that.
2 QB league, I definitely like him.
That'd be huge in 2 QB league.
1 QB league, I still like him as a fill-in. Like I said, he's the guy that I kind of chose. That, I mean, again, sometimes your free agents are thin pickings, right?
right.
But yeah, with Justin Fields in this game, I like his rushing ability. He brings that dual threat. He scored 20 points in 2 straight fantasy games. I kind of like that play today. Lamar Jackson, he's iffy to play at this point.
I would say, is he even going to play?
He's iffy to play.
Yeah.
He's been sick, non-COVID.
This guy's say he's got COVID again.
No, he's dealing with an illness that's non-COVID apparently.
All right,
and he's been pretty sick according to reports. So that's iffy whether he plays or not. Which again brings me to I like Chicago.
Oh yeah,
plus that 4.5 in this game.
Look at that spread. Absolutely. You got to hammer that. You got to hammer the Bears in this if Lamar's not playing.
And if Lamar's not playing, I don't know how much. Of course, Marquise Brown is out, but I don't know how much I really love that passing game if Lamar is out. And it's funny to say that because a lot of people dog Lamar's passing, but it's gotten better over time.
It's still not great.
It's not great.
It's better.
But if you put in, I don't even know who the backup is
No, I
in
have no
Baltimore.
idea.
Truthfully,
I have no idea. Is it like another
But
guy
it-
like Geno Smith who didn't
right,
know was
like-
in the fucking league?
But
still?
if you put somebody else in there, I don't necessarily like Mark Andrews. I don't necessarily like Rashad Bateman. You know, those are guys that, you know, if you have to play them this week, you're kind of like, I'm kind of fucked.
Like right now, you're kind of in limbo right here because, like we just said, we don't know if Lamar Jackson's going to play. So it's just kind of like, well, so we have some scrub telling these dudes the ball,
Right.
I don't know.
Like what are you going to have in there? So this game, there's really not many strong plays. I like I said, I kind of like the Chicago side of this one. I wouldn't even put it past them to actually win this game. You got David Montgomery, who's back healthy. You've got Justin Fields, who brings that dual threat. And Baltimore's defense has not looked particularly great.
Nope.
And they've got some guys out on offense. So, we'll see.
And they have Lamar ranked as number 2 quarterback this week too.
Healthy?
Yeah.
He could have been. I mean, he's one of those guys that brings it every week on both aspects, right? So, but with that illness dogging him down, even if he plays, how healthy is he going to be?
Yeah,
how mobile is he going to be, being that he's been sick all week?
That's a good point. Moving on to probably the least sexiest matchup of the weekend. The Dolphins playing the Jets. The Dolphins are laying 3.5, and the over/under is at 44.5.
Yeah, and so Miami minus 3.5. It looks like 71% of the money is on Miami minus that 3.5. Looks like the under is the popular bet here. 74% of the money is on the under.
If you bet this game, you are a true psychotic.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree with that. 80% of the money is on Miami money line. Now, Miami money line is not a bad one to throw into a couple parlays. Money line right now is minus 180, so you're not betting that straight up. But if you throw it into some of your parlays, I wouldn't dog you for that one. But if you're just betting this game straight up, I mean, this is a 3-7 team versus a 2-7 team. I'm not necessarily sure that you should be betting.
No.
Like if you're betting this game, you
You
should
might-
probably just stop.
You might want to call those one of those
Betting.
800 numbers.
Right. Like if this is one of your straight up bets, you might want to. I'm going to look into some help.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantasy wise, I listen. Some people aren't a Tua fan.
I'm not a Tua fan
You're not a Tua fan
at all.
He came back into that game last week with an injured finger, and still led that team on a couple scoring drives and a victory. When you're looking at it fantasy wise, I think he's a very good play today. He upgrades Jalen Waddle. I think he upgrades Mike Gesicki a little bit because he looks for those two guys on a consistent basis. And I mean, last week Gesicki was 0-4. He had 7 targets and 0 catches. So when it comes down to it, he's coming off a horrible game. But you look at Waddle; he's eclipsed 60+ yards in 4 of his last 5 games. Gesicki's coming off that dud of an outing, but prior to that, only Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews had more points than him on the season. Mm-hmm. So he's a guy that gets looked to often in that offense, especially by Tua, and he's kind of Tua's security blanket. Yeah.
I think another guy that I think will have a decent day. I think Myles Gaskin might have a solid day today as well.
Yes, he has an opportunity because that Jets defense is not necessarily the best against the run. They're allowing, not necessarily. They're actually allowing the most fantasy points per game to opposing backfields, and it's by a lot.
Right.
So I think some of that comes down to teams being up on them and they just run the ball down their throat after that, which can skew your numbers a little bit. But yeah, no, that spells for a good day for Myles Gaskin for sure.
And speaking of the other side of the ball, I think Michael Carter on the Jet side has a decent day as well.
I agree with that. He's been getting a lot of dink and dunks, which is good for point.
Yeah, for sure. PPR leagues.
Yeah, PPR leagues,
absolutely.
point per reception leagues, and he's been running the ball well. So he's actually, I think he's averaging almost 8 targets a game for a running back. That's insane.
That's pretty good.
So he gets the he gets the job done in two ways on that offense. So he's really turning into a guy that you can rely on
Right.
On your fantasy team. That's about it. I don't really like anybody else in this matchup. Can other guys score some points in here? Yeah, obviously that's possible. You got Corey
I was
Davis.
just going to say Corey Davis, yeah.
You got Corey Davis, who's been posting pretty good numbers for most of the year. Not necessarily outstanding, but listen, for a number 2 or number 3 wide receiver that you're throwing in there. Jamison Crowder, he could put up a good game at any time. You don't really know, but he can also lay a dud. So I don't necessarily like any of those other matchups in this game.
No, neither do I. Next up, Saints, Eagles. Eagles are laying 3, over-under set at 42.5.
Yeah, so it looks like 66% of the money is on New Orleans, +3 in this game. 72% of the money is on the over 42.5. I would hammer that over.
Yeah, I would too.
Honestly.
Yep.
Philadelphia alone can put up 30 points, especially if there's some garbage time going on or if there's some late scoring going on. And then you've got 64% of the money on New Orleans money line.
Yep.
Which
I'm kind of surprised by that.
I am too. I'm not necessarily, but again,
Especially with the Saints, you don't know what team you're fucking getting week to week.
you don't. and so we talked about it last week while Dan was on the show, and New Orleans is one of those big.
They're the national team.
They're like a big public favorite.
Yeah,
and Philly's kind of dogged by the public, right? The public doesn't really like Philly.
No,
and
the fans are idiots.
Well, the fans are idiots. The team hasn't done well other than that one Super Bowl run. And when you look at it, they're kind of like a national, hated team. I mean, there's not many people that really like Philly
because they're fans.
Right.
Simple as that.
It's yeah. I mean, I can't argue with you.
Throw batteries at Santa Claus. What's wrong with you? Jesus.
What the fuck is wrong with you? I actually like Philly in this game.
Okay.
I don't necessarily like a -3. I would probably buy that down just a little bit under 3.
Yeah.
We talk about those
best teaser, yeah.
those numbers.
Yep.
I would want to get it below 3 at 2.5, or even take a money line in a parlay. I do like them to win this game. I personally think the people, 64% of the people that are taking money line New Orleans are a little bit insane in this one. But again, that's what public does.
Yeah.
To lines, they skew it.
I mean, if I had to bet this game, I would take the Eagles as well. But like we said earlier, hammer the over on this one. Hammer it.
Yeah, I see the over coming in this game, even without Kamara, and that leads us into kind of the fantasy aspect. So Kamara's out again. Mark Ingram got the job done last week, and he scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, we were talking last week. We weren't kind of sure how they were gonna use Mark Ingram.
Yeah,
and I think we kind of saw how they're gonna use him.
Well, he's gonna end up being used pretty well, even when Kamara's in there. But with Kamara out, I mean, he's the guy.
Yeah,
they do get Tony Jones back. He's been activated from IR, but before he went on IR, he didn't really do much. So I wouldn't necessarily look for him to do anything. Mark Ingram is a decent play today. I think Adam Troutman is a decent play today. I like that play. He's a guy that can get the job done against this Philly defense. It's a matchup-based play, basically, because Philadelphia has not been good against the tight end.
Right.
So, and Adam Troutman is not somebody who's really gotten the job done all year, and he's been injured but it's one of those matchup plays where if you're questionable on the other tight end you have, if you're not really sure about it, maybe you roll Troutman out there based on the matchup.
No doubt.
Other side of the ball, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts.
You start your guns.
Goddard.
Yeah.
I like those guys to have a pretty decent day today. Jalen Hurts is one of those guys where right now, fantasy-wise, you say what you want about him in reality-wise. Fantasy-wise, he has been probably the most consistent quarterback there is, fantasy points-wise.
I think I can see like Boston Scott maybe having something.
Maybe a little something. That one's a question for me only because Miles Sanders is activated and he's back. And I don't know how they're going to use that backfield. I actually have to play Miles Sanders in one of my leagues right now. He came back, and it's either I play in one of my flex spots, I play Jared Cook because I have so many injuries on that team, or I play Miles Sanders. And it's sad because in this league, I started out at 1-3, and I've won like 6 games straight now.
Yeah.
I've just rattled off
nice.
a ton of wins. And I'm second in the entire league right now after such a horrible start.
Right.
But now with injuries and bye weeks, I'm stuck with starting Miles Sanders in a flex spot. I don't necessarily like it,
No.
but I mean it's better than starting Jared Cook,
Yeah,
truthfully.
for sure.
So I'm kind of happy he came back. I just don't know how that backfield's going to play out. I mean they said, or Nick Sirianni said that they're gonna. The guy's such a fucking idiot. I every time he speaks, I just hear nails on a chalkboard. But he said they're gonna probably have a backfield rotation even with Miles Sanders coming back. So I don't know that that's necessarily good for any of those guys
Right.
fantasy wise. I mean, it might be good for Philadelphia reality wise.
Oh, yeah.
It might work out for them reality wise. Fantasy wise,
No.
I think anybody that has a Philly running back right now is kind of fucked.
Fair enough.
Until you kind of see how they're going to play it out.
Right. Some quick injury updates.
Yep.
Jaguars running back James Robinson is playing today.
Nice.
And 49ers running back Elijah Mitchell expected to miss today with a fractured finger.
Yeah, and I think he was actually listed as doubtful Friday.
Yeah.
So Jeff Wilson, just keep that name. We'll get to that game later, but Jeff Wilson.
Yes. Next up, Colts, Bills. Buffalo is laying 7, and the over-under is at 49.5.
Yeah, it looks like this is pretty even as far as the spread goes. It's slightly favored towards Indianapolis getting 7. You look at it's 67% of the money on the under, which is 49.5, like you said, and then it looks like 75% of the money is on Buffalo money line. And looking at this game, I kind of stay away from this game.
Yeah.
I don't really like either side of this. Do I think Buffalo wins? Yes. Indianapolis has been playing pretty well, but that Buffalo defense is a better defense than what Indianapolis has seen recently. So I think this one might be a good game reality-wise, and it's going to be. I think it'll be close.
Yeah.
I think if I had to lean somewhere, I would take Indianapolis plus that 7.
Yeah, I would too.
Because I don't necessarily think this is going to be a blowout.
I would take the Indianapolis getting the 7, and I would hammer the under on this one.
It very well. This could be one of those games where it's just prodding. It's a prodding game,
Yeah.
and which isn't really Buffalo's strong suit because they don't really have. They're not known for the run game, right?
They're not.
But this could be one of those low scoring, just grinded out
Yeah.
games.
It's kind of like their playoff game last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the exact way I see this game playing out, and that's why I'm taking the under on this one.
Yeah, and looking at this fantasy wise, so Jonathan Taylor has been otherworldly in reality and fantasy in every aspect, other than the first 3 games. It was kind of
Yeah.
below average, but a lot of that came to play calling. A lot of that came to they weren't giving him his touches, which was crazy to me. And also he was. The offensive line was not giving him holes in the red zone. I mean, I think he had the most red zone carries in the first 3 weeks without converting any of them into a touchdown.
Right.
And then you fast forward now, and I believe he's number 1 in the year running back scoring wise. And the guy's he's balling, man. The guy is insane. He's pretty much the engine to that Indianapolis Colts offense, right? I mean,
Yeah, he is.
everything kind of runs through him.
Yep.
And Carson Wentz and that passing game with Michael Pittman, who I'm a huge fan of, kind of plays off of Jonathan Taylor. So everything is based off of him. And this game is going to be tough for him. That Bills defense is very solid.
It's a solid defense.
You obviously can't sit Jonathan Taylor. You're not sitting. If you sit Jonathan Taylor, you just stop playing fantasy football.
Right.
But this is one of those games where you can see a small outing from him coming. It's a possibility because that Bills defense is very good.
It is good.
You're not necessarily going to see a lot of gaping holes from
I
run
think
through.
that's another reason why I would take the under in this one.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think in this one, I look at it as you play your main guys.
Yeah.
And you kind of sit the other ones. I mean, I don't. Zach Moss, you're not starting him.
No.
If you are, your fantasy team is probably
You're in trouble.
In trouble. And I have one league that I'm in with Dan actually. That my team in there because of buys and everything and some injuries. I was kind of stuck starting Zach Moss, and I don't like it. I hate it. It's not good for my team. I might as well just chalk this week up to a loss. It sucks, but you never know.
It happens.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I'm not playing Emmanuel Sanders. I'm not playing Dawson Knox. I'm kind of staying away from those guys today, and you can come back and kill me on that one later on if they score some points. But this is just not a good matchup other than your big name guys, I think.
No, I'm with you on that one, 100%. Next up, the matchup of the weekend.
Oh,
yes,
man.
I know you're very much looking forward to
I was
this
so
one.
looking forward to this game.
The Detroit Lions traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. The Browns are laying 13, and the over-under is set at 42.5.
Yeah, in some places it's up to 13.5 now. It started out at 11.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it started out at 10.
I'd say it was a 10.
Started out at 10.
Yeah.
And Dan and I were actually talking about this. This is one of his picks. Dan took the Browns minus 12 for 4 units.
Oh, shit.
It's up to 13 or 13.5 depending on where it's at right now.
Yeah.
I can't speak for Dan. I still like that. I took them at 10
Yeah.
early. I don't like taking games early.
No.
But I took Cleveland early because there was a few things that I thought were going to play out that were going to be in my favor later on.
Yeah.
And it kind of has proven that. Nick Chubb was probably going to come back from COVID, but it wasn't guaranteed. I was banking on him coming back, which he is.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is I pretty much was banking on Jared Goff sitting.
Yeah.
Which means they're
Yeah.
playing
To
Blau
me,
or Boyle.
No, Boyle.
And they're playing Boyle.
Yeah.
So Boyle is getting his first career start.
Literally never heard of this guy
Right.
until this week.
First career start.
Yeah.
Against the Cleveland Browns. And
On the road.
on the road. Cleveland's at home. They have not. They're Cleveland's 5-5, right? I mean, and they're 2-4 in their last 6.
We got some locker room issues going on, man.
So, and part of that is coaching.
Yep.
It's a big issue on the coaching staff, and we've talked about this in text.
Yes, we have.
This team needs to get right. And
Baker's not playing today, right?
no, he is.
He is playing.
He is.
Oh, wow.
He is.
All right.
So that's the other thing is for me personally, I disagree with the coaching staff letting him play. Baker's the kind of guy where, like him or hate him, he's a tough son of a bitch,
He's gonna wanna play.
and he's going to go out there and want to. He's going to play. He's going to want to play. But the guy's got an ankle injury, he's got a knee injury, he's got a torn labrum, he's got a broken bone in his shoulder.
And you're playing the Lions. You don't need him.
What? Why are you doing that? Put Case Keenum in there and rest him. But with that said, I really think their game plan in this game is to
Nick Chubb.
It's Nick Chubb and Dearness Johnson.
Yep.
And when it comes down to it, they're gonna defensively. They need to get right because Joe Woods defense has severely underachieved in many games this year.
Yep.
Now they've done well in a few games. They've shown what they can do, but they're not coached well. This game, I believe, is a get right game for them. We always talk about get right games, right?
Yeah.
So Detroit's coming off that 16-16 debacle where
Arguably the worst football game ever played. Yes.
but they fought.
They fought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a hard fought game.
Well, at least it wasn't a loss.
Yeah. So in this one, I think Cleveland takes away that run game. I'm going to give you a prop bet here. I actually like the under in DeAndre Swift's rush yards. One, because Jamal Williams is back and he's going to be splitting some carries. 2, because Cleveland is going to take away the run and make you have Tim Boyle beat you.
Oh, yeah. If they don't do that,
If they don't do that, Joe Woods needs to be fired out this
agreed.
game.
100%.
And I think that will happen. That game plan will be Cleveland will run the ball down Detroit's throat with their running game, with that offensive line, and they will stop the run against Detroit and make Tim Boyle beat them, which I'm sorry, I don't think he's going to be able to do that. I can't speak for experience on that because he hasn't played.
Exactly.
I don't think he even has an NFL start.
I don't feel like the Browns are the type of team that will turn like a first time starter into like all pro like the Lions do with every fucking like backup quarterback they've ever played.
Right. Right. So it's before the
You
week.
got Matt Flynn paid.
Yeah. Oh, they did. And before the week, I took them at 10. I actually bought them down to 9.5 on a bet just to get under that 10 mark.
Yep.
The big number mark that we talk about. I still like them at 13.5. I really do. I think this is a get right game for Cleveland. I think this is a letdown game for Detroit. I think both things are going to come true in this game,
right.
and Cleveland is going to run away with this. Literally
Right away.
run.
So
away
basically,
with
he's
this.
saying if you got Nick Chubb, start him.
Yes.
Basically, is what,
Yes.
what he's saying.
Yes.
If you have DeAndre Swift, probably don't start him.
Yeah. Nick Chubb's he's slated to return, and the Lions are ranked 29th in rush DVOA. So I mean, they're allowing the third most rushing yards. They're giving up the third most fantasy points per game to opposing backs. Game script alone tells me Chubb's going to have a huge game.
Yep.
And maybe even Dearness Johnson as the backup there is going to have a good game. On the Lions side, DeAndre Swift, you kind of got to play him if you have him on your team. T.J. Hawkinson, you got to play him. DeAndre Swift can get some dump offs from Boyle. Like that part of his game, I think will be good. I think the under on rushing yards is still a good bet though, because Cleveland will try and take that away. They're not stupid. They watched last week's game, right? They watched him run all over that Pittsburgh defense.
Yeah.
So they're going to try and take that away.
No, I'm with you on that. By the way, how many yards did Mason Rudolph throw for last week? Because I know we had that. It was like prop bet that we had. I think it was. I think the over under was like 241 or some shit.
No, it was over like 208.
Was it 208?
Yeah.
I think it was something like that. I took the under on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm sure he probably ended up with.
I think it was over actually.
Yeah, probably. I felt like it was a game that he threw for like 196 or some stupid shit like that.
I believe it was over. 242.
Okay.
242.
Yeah, overtime must
he
have
was
helped.
30 for 50.
Jesus. All right. Anyways, next up, Green Bay, Minnesota. This game is basically a pick 'em. Green Bay is laying 1. Over under set at 47.5.
Yeah. So it looks like 72% of the money is on Green Bay minus that 1. 60% of the money is on the over 47.5. 65% of the money is on money line Green Bay. I like Minnesota in this game.
I do too.
Give me the 1 point. I'll even take it even on the money line. Like they're at home. Green Bay
Rivalry game.
Yeah, and Green Bay's without Aaron Jones, and I know A.J. Dillon is a very good running back as a backup. But when it comes down to it, I look at this game, and I think Minnesota at home can pull out a very close victory here, maybe a field goal game here. I look for them to win this game. I'm not necessarily like telling you, bet the farm on it.
Right.
It's not one of those where I'm like dying to say like, hey, it's definitely a Minnesota game. But I just feel at home, it's kind of a pick 'em game, and I'll take Minnesota at home in this game.
I would definitely take the over in this game, though. I think this game's going to be a shootout.
I think it could be. And 47.5, actually 47.5 seems like a small over for me in this game with Green Bay and Minnesota. They both have dynamic offenses at times.
Yeah,
they're
both going to throw the ball, I think. That's why I see this. I'm leaning toward the over in this for sure.
I think there could be some definitely some points scored in this game. This one, there's not much you can say about it fantasy-wise. You got a lot of big names in this game, so you're playing them. Play your studs. If you have Adam Thielen, I don't necessarily like his matchup. I don't necessarily like the way he's been playing lately or his usage. You kind of got to play him. But that's about it, man. Play your studs and don't look for too much else on the fringe on this one.
Right. Next up, Washington taking on Carolina. Carolina's laying 3. The over-under is set at 43.
So this one, it looks like Carolina minus 3 is 71% of the money is on them. There, looks like over 43, 55% of the money is on there, so it's basically even across the board there. 80% of the money is on Carolina money line. And this actually is one of Dan's picks. It's actually his play of the month. He takes Washington plus 3.5 for 8 units.
Whoa! Holy shit!
Yeah, he feels very strongly about this one.
Okay.
And actually, I'm gonna jump in here. I'm gonna say I like that pick. I backed it up. I wholeheartedly backed that up.
All right.
I think Carolina at home with Cam Newton coming back is getting a lot of public money right now, and they're kind of looked at as, all right, well, this is a big boost for them. Yeah. And even if they win this game, I don't think they win it by more than 3. So at 3.5, which it looks like maybe it's at 3 right now, look for it at 3.5 because it was last night. I like that play. And Washington has a chance to beat Carolina at home. Listen, They took it to Tampa Bay last week.
Yeah.
So, and again, if you were listening to the show last week, we told you Washington to take Washington in that game last week on this show. So I like the Washington play in this one. If you can find it at 3.5, great. If you find it at 3, okay, maybe buy it up to 3.5. But I like Washington in this game, and they actually have a good chance to win this game. Maybe sprinkle a little money on the money line there.
I dig it.
As far as fantasy in this game, listen, Heineke goes up against a very challenging Panthers defense that ranks number 2, and is allowing the 4th fewest fantasy points per game to the quarterback position. So they've allowed just 2 receivers to hit the 100-yard mark against them. They're going up the 3rd fewest fantasy points per game to that position. So it's not necessarily good on the passing side of the ball there.
No.
In any of those stats.
Certainly not.
McLaurin does have a 27% target share, and he's got 42% of the team's air yards. But the Panthers' corners have done pretty well at limiting production against opposing wide receivers this year.
Right.
You're not benching McLaurin, but I think it's wise to maybe look at it as more of a wide receiver 2 play as opposed to wide receiver 1. You got Ricky Seals-Jones is ruled out. Doesn't look like Logan Thomas is coming back off of IR. That puts guys like maybe that DeAndre Carter in line for some additional targets. Antonio Brown had a huge game last week. 2 touchdowns, 64 yards on the ground, had some air yards. I don't necessarily like anybody else there, and I'm really telling you I don't like anybody there, truthfully. But some of those guys you have to play, and Cam Newton come back. I don't really like that play. I don't think he's going to be that great in his return. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. It'll happen again.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's his first game back. Yeah, last week they ran 2 gimmick plays on the goal line where he threw a touchdown pass and ran one in. That was all he did. That was all they had him in there for, and it was 2 gimmicky plays at the goal line.
He still can't throw the ball, dude.
And I just don't trust him coming back this soon in his first game back. I think this is going to be a very low scoring game. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is the man.
Yeah.
You play him, and I think they're going to try to lean on him a lot. I think he's going to get a lot of dump offs. He's going to get a lot of rushing yards here. He's going to get a lot of carries. They're going to kind of, again, like they always do, they're going to kind of wear him down. They're going to ride him.
Yeah.
And that's going to be your guy there.
They're going to ride him until he gets hurt again.
DJ Moore might take a little bit of a jump up here from recent weeks, only because Cam Newton does look for him. So I don't necessarily think those two have a huge game, but maybe he takes a little bit of a bump up from what he's been lately, which has not been very good considering the first, say, 4 weeks of the season for him were top notch. So.
Nope. I'm with you on that one. Next up, Niners, Jaguars. Niners are laying 6.5, and the over/under is at 45.5. Honestly, I like Jacksonville getting the 6.5. I do.
So does Dan. That's one of Dan's
it.
picks. He likes the 6.5. He put it for only 1 unit, but he does like Jacksonville getting that 6.5. And I'm actually going to side with both of you guys here. I like that play as well. San Francisco's not like it's a huge step down from Mitchell to Wilson, but they are without their starting running back.
Right.
And I think this is a week where Jacksonville at home against a San Francisco team who's pretty bipolar at times.
They are, especially coming off last week when they beat the brakes off the Rams.
Right.
You know,
that's a huge win for them.
Kind of maybe like a letdown game, having to travel across the country. Yeah.
A little bit of a letdown, traveling completely across the country. Which we always talk about.
That's a thing.
That cross-country trip,
that's a thing.
Despite the fact that people think it shouldn't be a big deal and all that.
And a short week.
It becomes a big deal.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a short week, too, because they played on Monday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that 6.5 points to me is a smart play. I think Jacksonville can keep this game close enough that 6.5 points pays off for you. But it does look like 67% of the money is on San Francisco minus that 6.5. Again, that's public money, in my opinion. Nobody's going to take Jacksonville in the public, really. And San Francisco, after that beatdown of L.A., is going to get the public look, right? Under 45.5 is at 67% of the money. It looks like 93% of the money is on San Francisco money line.
Yep.
I don't disagree with that.
I don't either.
It's minus 290. Wouldn't play it all by itself, but if you put it into a parlay, maybe. But I think Jacksonville with that 6.5 points is a very smart play today.
No doubt.
Looking at the offense, I mentioned it. Elijah Mitchell's out, right? So Jeff Wilson Jr., I believe, is the primary carrier. And as we all know, Kyle Shanahan isn't afraid to get other players involved in the mix, which means you very well could see some Trey Sermon, some Kyle Juszczyk. You're going to see Deebo Samuel run the ball, which they did last week.
Yeah, they did quite a bit against
very
them.
successfully.
Yeah,
they
very
did that last week.
Yeah.
So I still like Jeff Wilson as the primary ball carrier here. I like him if you've held on to him. He was on IR for a lot of the year. If you have him, I do like him in this matchup. I think they're going to try to rely on that run game a little bit, which means he's going to get a good amount of carries, no matter whether they split some of them up to other people or not. I like Kittle in this game. I like Deebo Samuel in this game. I don't necessarily like Jimmy Garoppolo. It's weird to say you like the receivers,
I don't ever
but you
like
don't.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, I know you hate Jimmy Garoppolo.
I do. I 100% do.
But I think it's going to be some. Debo's going to get his run yards. He's going to get some slants, right? And Kittle dump offs, tight end type routes. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be a huge scoring game for these guys, but it very well could play out to be a shootout.
Yeah,
realistically, and it's weird to say that with the Jags, but I just if you have other options at quarterback, I don't necessarily like Garoppolo, but Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, I like those guys in this game. On the other side of the ball, James Robinson's playing. I'm playing him. He's a guy you can't sit, and the points are gonna be there for him. He receives the ball in the backfield, so even if the Jags get behind, they're still gonna use him. I like Trevor Lawrence in this game. I do. If you're in a 2-quarterback league, or if you're stuck on having to play a backup quarterback, you've got some injuries like Kyler Murray or something like that. I like Trevor in this game.
Nice filling guy for a week.
Yep. And one of my long shots in this game is Jamal Agnew. He's been consistent lately. They've been using him really well. They've been using him in runs out of the backfield. I think he's had over 5 targets in the last 5 games, I believe.
Yeah.
I'd have to really look at those numbers there. Tight end Dan Arnold has been being used really well, and that's another kind of a long shot play that could pan out in this game. I don't really have too many other positive things to say about this offense other than James Robinson's going to be leaned on heavy.
Yeah, for sure.
So
he's going to definitely, I think, put up sports for you this week. So
yeah, on the other side of it, guys I don't like Marvin Jones. I don't like Brandon Ayuk. It's just guys that I would tend to stay away from.
Yeah. Next up, Bengals, Raiders. This game is basically a pick 'em as well. Cincinnati's laying 1.5, and the over/under set at 50.5.
Yes, and it looks like Cincinnati minus that 1.5 is 71% of the money is on them. Minus that 1.5 looks like 70% of the money is on the over.
I'm absolutely
50.5.
I'm staying away from this game 100%.
I
look at these teams. I'm like, what are these teams?
And we say it a lot.
We do.
I say it a lot, but both these teams again are bipolar.
They are.
I mean,
what are these teams?
If I had to gun to my head, I would take Cincinnati. But again, they're traveling to Vegas. It's kind of cross country.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they've been a little bit more consistent than Vegas, which is why I would lean that way.
Yeah.
But when I say a little bit more consistent, it's just a little bit.
That's not exactly a high bar.
No,
right there,
it's very little bit.
Right.
And again, you look at all the things that have been going on with Vegas and that team. Those things also play into a.
Oh, they do. We saw that against Kansas City. They played like dog shit against Kansas City.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and we all thought they were going to come out and look good against Kansas City, and that was one where we were very wrong on.
Incredibly wrong, yes.
But again, bipolar. I look at this game as maybe one of those down games for them because I
don't know, man.
They got shellacked last week. They just I don't know. If I had to lean, I'd lean Cincinnati, but probably stay away from it.
Oh, yes.
Looks like 56% of the money is on Cincinnati money line.
Yeah.
Fantasy wise, I think this could be a good game. Fantasy wise, I think I like everybody in this game.
Yep.
You've got Burrow. He's going to face it's Pro Football Focus's #1 graded pass rush, according to
Really?
PFF. Yeah.
All right.
So that's going to be tough. He ranks top 6 in completion rate, yards per attempt, and quarterback rating when throwing under pressure. So maybe that translates to they get pressure on him and he still has a good game.
Yeah, he gets it out quick. Yeah.
Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they've combined for 52% of the team's targets. So, I mean, there's not much going elsewhere.
Yeah.
Which means to me, Tyler Boyd is droppable. And if you're playing CJ Uzama.
Who's your mama?
CJ, who's your mama? TJ,
Hoshimozo.
Championship, lock it up.
Lock it up.
Yeah, if you're playing CJ Uzama at tight end, it's because the tight end spot is so dried up and there's not much there and you're having trouble at tight end. But, that's just a dart throw play if you're playing him. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are getting the targets. I can see all three of those guys, Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, having a good game. And then last but not least, we got Mixon in a very, very plus matchup here on the ground against the Raiders. Their defense is allowing the 9th most fantasy points per game to opposing backs. They ranked 6th in rushing yards per game with Mixon, and he enters this matchup averaging 19 touches per game. So that's a healthy amount of touches per game, and I expect
opportunity to get you something. Yes,
very much. I expect a decent game out of him. Other side of the ball, you got Derek Carr, goes against the Bengals secondary that is 21st in pass DVOA.
If you can get Darren Waller involved somehow.
Yeah.
They need to get that dude involved significantly more than they do.
Well, it's bad. He got 25% of the target share. And for some reason, it just hasn't been there for him this year.
It's weird.
Either he's missing them on open routes or he's getting tackled right away. There's been a lot of things over the season. I won't even go into it all. But his season has been very down compared to what it should be.
Yep.
It's tough. I mean, he, like I said, 25% target share. You would expect more points from him every week, and he just hasn't been getting it.
Nope.
Other than that first week where he looked otherworldly.
Yeah, right.
It just hasn't happened. One surprise is Hunter Renfrow with 21% of the target share.
Yeah.
Those two, Waller and Renfrow, basically combined for nearly half of Carr's targets in the last, I think, 3 weeks. Cincinnati is susceptible to production across the middle, so both those guys are in play for a good game.
Yep.
Because listen, tight end and Hunter Renfrow, those are across the middle guys.
Slot guys, yeah.
Edwards has scored a touchdown in a couple games. He's been a guy that has kind of taken over that Henry Ruggs role, where he's that guy and he's been running the deep routes. Maybe a dart throw there. Don't necessarily love it, but maybe. Other than that, if you got to play Josh Jacobs, play him. But he's struggled on the ground last week. 7 carries, 16 yards. He's very touchdown dependent as an RB2. Fantasy owners can hope he either hits pay dirt or replicates last week with 5 receptions, which I don't count on that happening because they don't like throwing the ball to him.
No.
So we do have a comment here from Mr. Long. Mike Long says, "Nice broadcast. You guys keep doing your homework like your insights." Thank you very much, Mr. Long. We appreciate you listening.
I just wing it, man.
We appreciate it. I keep doing my homework. Let's put it that way. I do homework, but with fantasy and football. But that's just because I fucking love it so much. So for me, it's not homework. It's just something that I love.
No, I just wing it.
So. You did pretty well.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Next up, we got Arizona taking on the Sea Chickens. Seattle is laying 3 in the over-unders at 45.5.
So it looks like 55% of the money is on Seattle minus that 3.
Yeah.
And it's weird to say this, but I lean towards Seattle in this game at home. Arizona's going to probably be without. They're definitely without DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, it looks like Kyler's probably not going to.
Looks like Kyler's not going to play.
Yeah.
And not that they haven't been able to get the job done without them. They have. They have. But this is a division rivalry.
Yeah.
This is Russ Wilson coming off scoring 0 points last week against Green Bay.
Yeah.
And they're at home.
I
like Seattle in this game.
I feel like this is a shitter get off the pot type game for Seattle. I feel like this is a game where this is kind of like determines where your season's going to go.
Absolutely.
The rest of it, like if you lose this game, you're done.
Absolutely. Yeah, because at this point, if you lose this game, you're 3-7.
Yeah.
As Seattle,
I think you're done.
If you come out of this game at 3-7, your season is basically a wash. It's over with. You need this game.
Yep.
And you need to get right from last week when you scored 0 points against Green Bay.
So I do like Seattle laying the 3. I'm not crazy on the over under on this. If I had to lean, I'd probably go under.
And that looks like 73% of the money's on the under with you there.
Yeah.
Looks like 66% of the money is on Arizona money line. Oddly enough, like I said, it just something about this game speaks Seattle to me, and I know they look like dog shit last week, and Arizona has looked good even without Kyler, even without DeAndre Hopkins. This game just spells a Seattle get right game.
They need it.
They do. They desperately need it. And so in this one, after opening with a 50.5 point game total, this one's moved down 3 full points.
Yep.
And I think that was because Vegas knew Kyler wasn't coming back. I think that was pretty much why that happened.
Right.
DeAndre Hopkins is out. Christian Kirk has proven to be the primary beneficiary of Hopkins being out. AJ Green has been okay. I don't even know what to say. He's been okay.
He's been there.
He's been on the team.
Yeah.
He shows up, he dresses.
He's got a uniform and everything. It's really great.
Yep. He keeps it clean. Really, James Conner's been the guy that stood out. In that offense.
He's had a nice season.
He's had a very nice season, especially since Chase Edmonds has gone down with that injury. He's posted a combined 31 carries for 135 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns, and added 8 catches, 102 yards, and 1 receiving TD over the last 2 weeks, which is, that's outstanding. If you got this guy on your roster right now and you kept him on your roster even through all the down times, which even the down times weren't bad because he was still getting the goal line carries, and he was getting TDs there.
Yep.
But he's paying off for you big time right now. On the other side of the ball, by all accounts, the return of Russell Wilson to that Seattle offense was just a fucking disaster.
It was a disaster.
Last week in Green Bay, this whole matchup against Arizona, not necessarily a layup, but the secondary is nothing to fear, really, at the cornerback position. So guys like DK, Tyler Lockett, they're going against guys like Marco Wilson, Robert Alford, and they can have those.
Yeah.
They can have those matchups. They can win those matchups, I should say. Those receivers are combining for 54% of the team's target share, 72% of the team's air yards. So hopefully this is a get-right game for Russell and DK and Tyler. They all 3 kind of need it.
I think with Russ, I think the second week, being back, after his being out for so long, I think he'll be fine this week. That first game coming back, you don't know how the ball's going to come off your hand, especially when you have a hand injury.
Oh, listen, it was on his throwing hand.
Yeah.
It was the middle finger on his throwing hand.
Yeah.
If anybody knows when you throw a football, that middle finger is
that's how you throw the ball.
Yeah, it's a very integral part of throwing the football.
Yes.
So, maybe that threw him off last week. Maybe he's having to adjust to that.
I think he did, and I think obviously with practice this week and whatnot, I think he'll be fine. For today, and I see Seattle winning this game.
Yeah. You're with me on that one. I like that.
Yep.
Chris Carson, actually, in case you have been under a rock, they put him on season-ending IR.
Yep.
So with that neck injury, he had been on IR. There was talks of him coming back, but they finally put him on season-ending IR.
He got one.
There was a lot of rush to pick up Alex Collins this week by a lot of people in fantasy. I don't I don't like it. I don't love it. I mean, I picked him up in one league just because he was there, and I was like, fuck it. But I don't necessarily like Alex Collins. He hasn't really stood out. You know, I mean, like he hasn't done anything to stand out. So I don't necessarily like that. Rashad Penny is still there, which, again, hasn't done anything to stand out. So I think you're probably going to get a lot of passing with the Seattle offense, and you're going to get a split in that backfield all the way through the end of the season.
Yeah, I think
probably
that's definitely going to be running back by committee for sure with the Sea Chickens. So,
yep.
Next up, probably the sexiest matchup of the week.
Yeah.
The Cowboys traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Kansas City is laying 2.5, and the over/under is set at 55.5. I would hammer the over in this one.
Yes. I love the over in this game, and everyone else is hammering it too. It looks like 80% of the money is on the over in this game. 56% of the money is on Dallas plus that 2.5. But again, that's a lot of public money. Dallas is a favorite.
It's a brand.
Dallas is a brand. Yes, if you're still listening, Steve from Baldman Entertainment and Time Out with Steven Scott. Yes, Dallas is a name brand, even though I personally hate Dallas, and a lot of people do. And Dallas
Same here, brother.
Can fuck off. But anyway, 58% of the money is on the money line. Dallas, actually. It looks like there's a lot of Dallas love going on betting wise with this game. I personally am just going to sit back, watch it, and enjoy the game.
That's all I'm going to do.
Because even if you put a gun to my head, I might tell you to just pull the trigger. Because like this game right here,
might as well be a pick 'em.
It's too hard to call with these teams. You know, if the Kansas City team shows up that has showed up for half the season this year, where they can't move the ball. And they can't score points, and Mahomes is throwing 2 picks, which Dallas can get those interceptions. Dallas's defense has played pretty damn well. I personally look for this game to be a shootout. I think this game is going to come down to the last possession, probably.
I can see that.
Which bodes well for fantasy.
Oh, it does. I think you're going to feast if you got a lot of Kansas City or Dallas players this week.
Yeah, and so talking about fantasy, we'll switch over to that. You know, Dak Prescott could easily contend for the most points this week, with the KC ranking number 2 in most fantasy points per game allowed to the quarterback position. Amari Cooper is out. He's going to miss this game due to COVID, and he's probably going to miss Thursday's game as well, from what I understand, per the protocols. That boosts guys like CeeDee Lamb, obviously, who had a great week last week. But then you look at Michael Gallup, who just returned from IR last week. He now steps into that number 2 role. CeeDee Lamb, I think, will assert the number 1 role. And you got Gallup in that number 2 role. And maybe Dalton Schultz comes back to prominence, because he's kind of fallen off the map recently of targets and target shares. So I really do like all 3 of those guys in this game. I kind of like everybody in this game.
Yeah,
I think. Listen, could somebody have a dud in this game? Yes, possibly. It could happen.
But it's that's with anything.
It is. But when it comes down to it, you look for the matchups and you look for the great plays, and I think this is great. This is a great play for both teams.
Yeah.
Offensively, I like both sides of the ball, or both sides of this matchup, fantasy wise.
Yeah.
Running back wise on KC though, I do want to touch on that. It looks like CEH is back. They're probably going to split carries between CEH and Darrell Williams.
Probably.
So I don't necessarily know how much you like either one of those guys. If you have them on your roster right now, you might have to play one of them. But
I honestly don't see him running the ball that
maybe
much.
Don't expect it. But both those guys can receive the ball too.
No, I know. But
and Darrell Williams has actually done pretty well, and CEH was not doing so well before he left. With that split, it does make me question what each player is going to get, and it's going to be a crapshoot right now to figure that out until you see how it plays out. But for the most part, offensively on both these teams, you just fucking play everybody and sit back and relax and enjoy it.
Absolutely, it should be a fun game to watch, no doubt. Next up, Pittsburgh traveling to LA to take on the Chargers. Chargers are laying 6, and the over/under is set at 47.5. Take the Chargers laying 6.
I do like the Chargers in this game. I agree with you there. I don't necessarily like the 6. But you know what? It's under that point threshold where you talk about 3, 7, 10.
Yep.
I do like the Chargers in this game.
Yep.
Pittsburgh's coming off a game where they literally tied the Lions.
The worst football game ever.
Los Angeles here, they look like world beaters one week and they look like dog shit the next. So I think at home, I think they get this game done.
Lamar is out.
Lamar Jackson is out. Okay, so let's run back to that one and let's take where is that matchup at?
Toward the top, I believe.
Run back. Grab Chicago. I already said I like Chicago plus 4.5.
Yep.
Grab Chicago plus 4.5. I like Chicago in this matchup anyway at home, and now Lamar is out. Go put some money on Chicago.
Yep.
Getting back to this one, Los Angeles, the Chargers. Looks like 52% of the money is on that -6 at home. Looks like 81% of the money is on the under in this game, under 47.5. And it looks like 83% of the money is on money line, Los Angeles. Leaning one way or the other, I'm with you, Chris. I would give up that 6 with the Chargers.
Another, again, cross-country. And
Pittsburgh's without T.J. Watt.
Yeah, and I know Ben is playing again, but honestly, does it really fucking matter?
Well, yes.
We said last week it didn't matter.
Well, so that's the whole point. Last week we said, well, it's not that big of a drop off. Well, I think last week proved
is a big drop off.
It's a big enough drop off, right? I mean, so listen, Ben is not the Hall of Famer that he's been in his career. He's at the end of his career, but he is still significantly better than Mason Rudolph.
God, that guy's so bad.
He's just bad. He's fucking bad. So yes, is it a step up for Mason Rudolph? They proved last week tying the Lions that yes, it is a step up. How big of a step up? It's to be determined, I guess.
Yeah.
I still like the Chargers to outscore them in this one by 6 points.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm with you on that one.
And if you're going to look at fantasy in this game, I look at Justin Herbert as my 6th quarterback on the board.
Yep.
I had him just below. I had Lamar as 5, and that was based off of the fact that he had an illness all week. He might not play. But obviously knock him down. So Justin moves up to my 5th best quarterback for the week. And again, Pittsburgh's without T.J. Watt. And I think he can get it done without a huge pass rush and with that secondary. Looking at Ben Roethlisberger, I don't really have him ranked near anywhere where you should play him at all. I think this is a big Najee Harris, Austin Eckler game. I think both those guys are going to have pretty damn good games this week. I have Najee as my number 2. I have Austin Eckler as my number 4 for the week. I don't necessarily like either one of these receiving cores. I mean,
is Claypool back? Is he still out?
Herbert? Claypool is back. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But like Ben, he can't get the ball downfield. It's a lot of dink and dunk. So I don't necessarily like that passing game. Justin Herbert, it's not that he can't throw the ball. I like him in this matchup. It's just he distributes the ball pretty well, right? So Mike Williams hasn't had a big week since like week 3.
He's not going to focus on just like one receiver.
Keenan Allen, he gets a lot of target share. He gets a lot of receptions, but nothing deep, nothing big.
Right.
So I do like Justin Herbert overall, but as far as like any receiver standing out, they don't really stand out to me in this game. I think it's going to be a spread across the board pretty well.
Yep, no doubt. Next up, the final game of the weekend, the Monday Nighter, the New York Football Giants taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm so fucking tired of seeing the Giants in primetime games.
Yep.
Like, dude, enough.
It's like watching a bunch of retards trying to fuck a doorknob.
But seriously, enough with the Giants, the Cowboy, whatever, in primetime games. Like, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
It's enough.
You know what really grinds my gears?
The New York Giants in primetime games.
Seeing shitty teams in primetime games.
Like, I get it. I get it's the New York market. I understand that, but enough, man. These teams are hot garbage. Stop.
They really are, and I just this one, for me to say I might not watch this game is saying a lot,
right?
Because primetime games.
Yeah.
Listen,
like how the hell Dallas and Kansas City isn't in a primetime slot right now is fucking beyond me.
That's insane to me, and even preseason, the fact that they would have looked at that and not put it on a primetime game. Instead, it's New York and Tampa. Like, I understand Tom Brady, and I understand the New York market, but then again, I'm one of the biggest NFL fans there is.
Yes,
and I'm literally telling you, I might have this game on
like
the
background.
on the side TV,
right? Yeah, exactly.
and be watching something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not necessarily looking forward to watching this game.
No, nor am I. That being said, Tampa Bay is laying 10.5, and the over/under is set at 49.5.
Yeah, and it looks like it's pretty even across the board as far as the spread goes, and even across the board as far as the over/under goes. 94% of the money is on Tampa money line. Duh.
Yeah, no shit.
Like in other news, water's wet.
Yeah, right.
Let's look at the fantasy matchups, and I have Tom Brady ranked at number 4 this week against this Giants defense, and he can get the job done. Obviously, he's proven that. Last week he had a dud, but somebody said something last week about Tom Brady's washed. I'm like,
yeah, okay.
I mean, he's
we said that last year too.
I think he's first in touchdown passes and third in yards, but okay, yeah, he's washed at the age of like 42.
We said that last year too.
Yeah, and how did that work out? When you look at Daniel Jones, I have him ranked as middle of the road this week. He's 15th for me.
How many? Set the over under on how many times he trips himself this week?
Or turnovers.
Or turnovers.
Because he's capped in turnover.
Dude.
I think he has a chance to have a good game, only because that Tampa Bay pass defense is not good.
It's so weird how well they played in the Super Bowl, in the playoffs last year, and they've just taken a significant.
This whole season they've been bad, and he has a chance to play well.
Yeah.
Which is why I have him ranked at 15th. He could turn out to be a top 10 quarterback this week. No joke, he could. I won't rank him there, but he could be a top 10 quarterback based on how that Tampa defense has played against the pass.
Right.
And Daniel Jones adds in that running aspect at the quarterback position. He could have a good game. Doesn't mean they're gonna win. Doesn't mean they're gonna be within 10 points.
Right.
If I had to choose, I would take New York plus 10.5.
Yeah, I probably would too.
Because I don't really see Tampa Bay running away with anything here. I don't see them blowing this game out. I just don't. Right. And then, listen, running backs, you got Saquon coming back off that injury. Can't stay healthy. He's coming back at his first game
Penn
back.
State running backs, man.
It's so tough, man, because he is such a good athlete.
He is.
But I don't necessarily like him in this matchup. I got him ranked at 16th, but that's just based on his name and the fact that he has the ability. But I don't really like this matchup for him. And you don't know how they're going to bring him back. Are they going to bring him back and have him split carries and just kind of wean him in a little bit?
I think that's exactly what they're going to do.
Or are they going to just go full on out, man?
I think that's exactly what they're going to do.
I tend to lean that way as well. And so that means Booker's probably going to get some carries here, which means neither one of them really stand out in this game as somebody that you really want to play.
Right.
You know? Other side of the ball, Leonard Fournette, I got him ranked at 14th. If they get up in this game, they could lean on him a little bit. He has proven he can receive the ball in the backfield, and they will use him that way. So not a horrible play, just not necessarily looking at top 10 numbers from him. Wide receiver matchups, man, you play Mike Evans, you play Chase Godwin. I don't know who you're playing on the other side.
Who's even playing on the other side?
That's the biggest question, man. Like, you just don't know. I mean, I think the highest I have a New York Giant wide receiver on my rankings is, I believe, Galladay.
Oh, good Lord.
At like 30-ish.
Oh, shit, man.
So, Kadarius Toney's in there as well,
Yeah.
in the 30s, I believe. So, you look at this, it's
not good.
It's not
Not
good. I like I said, this is a matchup where I'm kind of just looking to not even pay attention to it, sadly.
No.
Sadly. So that's it.
That's it.
That brings us to the end of
That's week 11.
Yeah, week 11 game day. Week 11 Sports on Tap game day. Thanks for listening. One more time, I'm going to go over Dan's week 11 picks. On the year, his overall record is 19-12. His overall units is plus 17.2. Taking a little bit of a hit in recent weeks, but still, if you look at the overall numbers there, very, very good numbers there.
For sure.
Week 11, he's got Jags plus 6.5 for 1 unit. He's got the Browns minus 12, which right now it's about 13.5. But minus 12 for 4 units. So even if you buy that down a little bit, put 4 units on it, it still pays off pretty well. And then he's got the Washington football team plus 3.5 for 8 units as his play of the month. All right, that's it for game day this week. We appreciate you listening and or watching. We're going to be back Tuesday with our regular show.
Yeah.
Frank will be in with us on that show. We will not have a game day next week because it is a holiday weekend.
Holidays, man.
Yeah, it's the holidays. We're not going to do a show. We will still have everything up on the website. We'll have Dan's picks on the website. We'll have the confidence picks on the website. I'll have all the fantasy information on the website. And again, that's SOTDET.com. SOTDET.com. Go enjoy football. Enjoy week 11. Hopefully you'll win some money, win some fantasy games.
It's not raining or snowing outside right now.
It's not weathering out right now.
Weathering out.
It's just cold.
It's cold.
It's colder than a witch's tit in January, but it just stay inside.
Yep.
Maybe if you have a fireplace, get a fireplace going, get a fire going, and watch some football.
That's right.
Cuddle up with a blanket, win some money, win some fantasy matchups. Football.
Football.
Down the field.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.